If I know a lot and it's not being passed down, then I just wasted my life, right? It's a lot to do with my personal vision. My vision is to pass down the knowledge and information to the next generation, such that next generation is better off. So living by that vision, right, would ask me to first to work with you for me, right? Because if I know a lot and it's not being passed down, then I just wasted my life, right? It started like when I was doing my master prac, right? One of my vision was actually training. When I went into the prac and master prac, the intent of going in was to use it for training. So that was pretty clear to me when I'm inside. But after the master prac, I didn't start the business because they're concerned whether I'm good enough or not. Then I was in Israel for one of my trips. It's the company, I was an engineer, so they sent me over there for a job. So I was staying there for 2 months. So over weekend, very free. Yeah, so after a while, I felt that, hey, I'm wasting a lot of time, I'm free, why don't I do something? That was when I sat down and started my first program, start writing my first program. What triggered me to write my first program was actually after master prac. Last time when we do the master prac, right, we write a diagnostic report, right? Then we submit a diagnostic report. I still remember there's something that Barney said in the diagnostic report. It goes something like, he said, many years after you die, someone will go down to your house and go right down to your basement, and in the basement they open up, and in the box they saw treasure and they wonder why wasn't it given out to the people at that point of time. So that kind of got me thinking that maybe I do have something. So that was what metaphor that Barney wrote for me. So it took me a long time. I was thinking or looking at it and say, maybe I have lah. Yeah, so that was when I sat down, I wrote my first training program. Then from then, I started doing part-time. People call me, okay, I will take leave and then I do. But there wasn't a real a leap of faith to start out the business until I attended another training. In that training, it got me clear about what I want and what were the factors that are holding me back and things like this. So then that was when the calling come. Yeah, because I finished the training, the next day I resigned from my work. So I think if you talk about crossing over, there will be actually 2 hurdles. The first one was to leave my job. The second one is to really go full-time into this business. I got 2 business partners. One is Ian, one is Daniel. Ian is actually my brother. So when I first started my business in 2004, I was doing on my own. My brother being a GM of SME at that time, a manufacturing company. So he was guiding me with my business. Then after a while, he realized I'm hopeless with business. He said, you're not going to make it. Your belief about money is so unhealthy and it's not going to make it. Whenever I ask you to work around money, you get emotional, you get upset about it. But the reality is, if you run a business, right, it's about generating income, right? It's about money. So then he found my business partner for me, which is Daniel. I would say the 2 of them, in terms of running business, they are actually my mentor. Because the 3 of us work together quite well. We complement each other. I'm more a product person. Daniel is a lot of a business person. What happened was, I still remember initially when I started doing training, I'm quite righteous about how it should be. Training must be like that, and it should look like this, and that sort of things. But as it developed, right, I still remember one time Daniel asked me, "You hungry already?" So I asked him, "What do you mean?" He said, "You got not enough money, take back home, right?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "You hungry or not? You willing to start to rethink how you think about doing things. Yeah, that was when like one of the big shift as well, where I realized that if I continue to run the business the way I want it, it's better off not to run the business. If you ask me when would be my darkest part, will probably be 2 years ago. I was in depression for almost a year. Over value system different about how business should be run, and my perspective about things and stuff like this. So that 1 year was tough. I think count in, actually I was in depression all in about 2 over years. I was in depression on an average of 1 year out of the 2 over years. That's probably the hardest time I have in this business. In fact, it was so difficult that I packed all my things and I left the company. Table, everything I clean up and I take and I go. I want things to be done in a certain manner. However, due to the business environment, there is certain level of compromise needed, right, to get the business going. So I couldn't reconcile that part. I think it's at quite a deep level. I couldn't reconcile it. So then the option then is to suppress, right? Just pretend that it's not there. However, over the years, it caught up. And then at one point where I contemplated suicide. Yeah, to say, is it worthwhile to really do what I'm doing and having so much internal conflict? So that was when I packed up and I left. The good news is that my office staff and my business partner, they're very supportive. So we came together and we have a talk, and I took a month break from the business. I took a month, go out and rethink whether I want to continue the business or not. Really, is this what I want or not? Because at the end of the day, I'm the founder of the company, right? If the founder walk out of the company, then the company does not make sense. So the break was good. I sat down and rethink about the business, about what I want, and then how would I run it that is congruent with my value system. So after that 1 month came back, then I took over the running of the business. Because if the value conflict was between the business and me, then the simplest solution is I take over and run the business so that I can run it the way that it will be congruent with my value system. I think in the process of running the business, it's different from seeing someone else run the business. Yeah. As I run the business, I begin to realize that some of the decisions that I cannot align to was actually a matter of perspective. Yeah, when I'm running the business, I start to see the perspective of needing to keep the company afloat, needing the money, right, to pay the staff, needing development for the staff, that all this actually need money, right? So how do you go and get money? In a business, you need to run training, you need to generate enough sales to do that. Yeah, so by running the business, it actually shifted my perspective a lot in terms of how I see business and how I used to consider not ethical now. By shifting the perspective, I realized that it got nothing to do with ethical. Yeah, it got to do with being fairly compensated, doing what we are doing. Yeah. So one of the things that I tell the people in the industry who know me is that I don't believe in selling things low. Yeah, because if we are offering a professional service, it's only right that we get paid. Probably because I was a very naughty boy in school. Yeah, so my life has changed by my teacher, a teacher that I'm very close to. Actually, today I just met him. He's my secondary school teacher. I'm 43 now, about 30 years ago. He actually changed the way I see things, how I am. I think without him, I wouldn't be where I am now. That will probably be why deep down inside, right? I'm choosing pretty consciously to work with students from the neighborhood because I was from a neighborhood school, right? And choosing youth for that reason. The teenagers nowadays are absolutely capable. I don't question what they can do, and I have faith that they can actually do a lot more if the adults adopt a more hands-off approach and a more mentoring and guiding approach versus a more controlling approach. I mean, we have worked with students, like student leaders, that in 6 months they raise 80,000 for a home. 6 months, student, they raise 80,000 for a home. We have seen them organizing events where minister come down and grace the event. We have seen neighborhood students that we work with that really wanted to raise the money. Just 2 students from one school, very ordinary students, not like super duper student leader schools. They wanted to bake cookies so they can raise money. They really tried whatever they can. They went to school, asked for use the school facility. The school say no. They went back home. The school parents say no, you messed up. End up they managed to convene the community center to open up the kitchen for them to bake cookies. So my belief is the youth nowadays can be engaged, but we must know how to engage them. If we want to engage them from our perspective, from the way we judge and perceive them, I don't think anyone like it. Just like none of us like to be judged by someone else. So I think given them the space and given them the opportunity with some form of guidance and less control, I think I have faith that they are absolutely capable. There's no question about that. Well, actually that is the next phase I'm going through now, because I kind of like realized that working with youth, I can impact them only to a certain level, because we realize that whatever we work with the youth, right, when they go back to the schools, if the teacher can reinforce it and strengthen it, it's going to help a lot. But when the teacher contradict what we cover, right, it's going to get harder for the teenagers, right? Then they may get this illusion, or during training you say this will happen, but when I go back to school, it does not happen. The next group of people I need to work with will be parent and teacher. Yeah, so as a company now, I'm moving into doing teachers training.